Welcome pilots, my name is Hybrid V and we are back once again to watch your takeoff and landings. This time we are in the wonderful 3.23 PTU. And of course with that brings master modes, an entire change to the flight model in Star Citizen, and now is a good time as any to watch you all take off and land with this brand new flight model to see how things go and see how things shake up. Now, if you are new to the series, what it is, essentially I go to all the spaceports in Star Citizen. In this case, like for example, I'm here at Riker Memorial Spaceport at Area 18, and I watch people come and go, players to be more specific, and I give them a rating out of 10 for their takeoff or landing. Also, look at this new pitch ladder. The new pitch ladder is beautiful. I quite enjoy it. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. So what are we looking for specifically when it comes to a cinematic landing? What we're looking for are players that have good control over their ship, no hesitation, no keyboard catting or any type of stuttery movements. They are also pulling their landing gear and using their VTOLs properly. And when I mean properly for a cinematic landing, I mean that they're using their landing gears right before they touch down, rather than having their landing gear deployed kilometers away before they get even close to their hangar. Now, of course, in Star Citizen, it really doesn't matter at this point if you have your landing gear out far away from the hangar that you're supposed to be at. But in the future, it will matter. There is, of course, going to be overspeeding of the gear. And indeed, right now, currently in the game, there's actually a safety feature that locks your speed down if you have your gear out. But we'll talk about that later at some point. Regardless, what we're looking for is for people who are following this kind of cinematic rule set, right? And if they're not, they're going to have points taken away from it, regardless of whether they know I'm watching them or not. It's just for fun. It's all for show, right? We just want to see who is more cognizant of how their landings look and who are a little bit more utilitarian in that. So without further ado, folks, I'm going to go ahead and cut the cameras here. Let's get straight to our first customer of the day, shall we? Look at that beautiful fog. I'm loving the new atmospheric effects. Anyway, let's get to it. All right, first customer of 323, what have we here? And of course it's going to be a Corsair. A Corsair is always a popular choice among many citizens. Goodness, sorry folks. Sorry about that. This is the PTU after all. There's going to be some weird graphical glitches. I don't know if this is inherent with Vulkan or if there's just some logged issue there. I do apologize for that. I am currently running the Vulkan renderer. It's back. My eyeballs. Sorry about that, folks. We'll try to refrain from zooming in. I guess here at Area 18, there's some kind of weird graphical glitch going on here. But anyway, let's get back to the Corsair. Gear is already down before they enter the hangar here. Wings are up, so things are looking good. No VTOL activation from what I can see. They did have their gear out a little bit too early for my taste there. However, they are maintaining a smooth profile as they come in. A little bit of hesitation, very minor, as they're kind of lining themselves up here, and then they bring themselves down, and then they get eaten by the ground. Now, of course, again, folks, like I said, this is PTU. So you can see them freaking out. That is not them. That is the server probably stalling right now. There is a lot of issues with stallage right now with the servers. CIG are working on it, but it is a thing that happens currently right now as I'm recording this. This is probably going to be a recording that's going to happen over several days, because every so often I get a lot of server crashes and whatnot, and I get stalls like this, and sometimes I'll just blow up flying too close to the ground because of these stalls, and it just in general doesn't look very good. So I'm probably going to take some time to record maybe one day and then another day come back around and record again. So I'm also going to be checking out different areas that people are flying in, not just going to stay around here in Area 18. So like I said, this video is probably going to be pretty all over the place in terms of what my normal quality is, in terms of where I like to normally keep things. Generally, I like to just stick in one area and record people take off and land, but because of the state of the PTU, I'm going to probably bounce around different areas every so often. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, beyond that, let's take a look at this small hangar here opening up, because we do have somebody appearing to be taking off. We have a Hornet Mark II with that iron weave. I believe that's what it's called. Is it iron weave or iron scale? I don't remember. Either way, it's a really nice skin for the Hornet Mark II. We should be having that F7A Hornet coming in pretty soon as well, too, with the Xenothreat event coming out once this patch finally goes live. But the new Hornet is an absolute crowd pleaser, a beautiful takeoff. You can see their wings were extending out there, which meant their gear, I'll try not to lose them here, it means their gear was coming up as soon as they were leaving the hangar. So that is a solid takeoff from that player. That's generally like a 10 out of 10 takeoff. That's what we're looking for right there, folks, right? Completely, you can see that MSR way off in the distance there, flying very slowly with their gear down. They're probably utterly confused as to why they're flying very slow. Like I said earlier, folks, there is a speed limitation imposed on your ship if you have your gear down as a safety precaution. You can bind a key in your keybind section of your game to take that off, so you can turn it off with a keybind if you want. But like I said, in the future, this is going to be an issue if you decide to turn that off, because you can overspeed your gear and you can end up ripping the landing gears off of your ship. Currently, right now, that's not an issue. It's just kind of put in now. But yeah, so this player is just flying with, God, my eyeballs. God, goodness. But yeah, so that's an issue you have with having your gear out. You're going to be moving slow unless you have that keybind set. But of course, in the future, you can destroy your landing gear if you decide to turn off that feature and not pay attention. But anyway, so the Corsair had some issues there. The Corsair had its gear out a little bit early. There was some very, very minor hesitation and no VTOL activation there. So I'm going to give them a solid 6 out of 10 because it was really controlled. I liked it. It was good. It was definitely above like the average that I would look for, but it could have been a lot better with some of the extra little cinematic flair thrown in there. And then, of course, I'm just, like I said, the Hornet is just going to be a straight 10 out of 10. That's exactly what we're looking for. Takeoffs are always going to be way easier than landing because it's relatively straightforward. As long as you don't, crash into something on your way out, that's always going to be a solid win in my book. As long as you are making sure that you're using VTOLs, if your ship has VTOLs. In this case, that Hornet did not have VTOLs. And you're, of course, utilizing the landing gear properly. You're not flying out of the hangar with your gear down the entire time. You are actually lifting your gear up and then taking off, so it all looks like a beautiful cinematic sci-fi experience there, right? So overall, good outings from multiple players there, as we're seeing a lot of players rolling out from Area 18. We have actually somebody coming in here. What have we got here? What are you, good sir? You appear to be a Scorpius with your gear already down, unfortunately. This is what I mean, right? So you can see the difference there, right? From that player taking off from that Hornet, how really cool that looked in comparison to a player coming in landing. And you can see this person is hesitating a little bit. Their gear is already down, so it kind of looks a little bit goofy, right? And as they're trying to line themselves up. So this is perfectly fine within the scale of Star Citizen, the video game, but what we're looking for is Star Citizen, the cinematic universe, right? I'm trying to look for somebody who has a really cinematic landing. And in this case, this player has their gear down quite a ways before they enter the hangar, and there's a lot of hesitation. They're trying to really realign themselves. Like I said, within Star Citizen, it doesn't matter, but for what we're doing here on this series, is we're looking for cinematic takeoff and landings, and with that amount of hesitation and that early gear activation there, I'm going to have to take points away, and that is definitely going to be probably about an average 5 out of 10. Now, I'm being a little bit more harsher than I normally am for my ratings, and that is because Master Modes makes flying so much more easier to control overall for your ship. So if you're used to the old flight model, you're probably well aware when you were first learning how easy it is to crash your ship because of how fast your ship can move, especially if you don't use your limiter. With Master Modes, you still want to use the old techniques of using like a limiter or whatever like that, but currently right now, it is so easy to control your ship because of the overall slower speeds, but there's a few other little things here and there, especially for things like decoupled and whatnot. So I'm going to rate things a little bit more harshly than I normally would. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we go on. All right, side hangar opening up here. It is now nighttime on our corp. And we have a Hornet Mark II on the deck. Gear is already up, and they are getting ready to push out here shortly. They're just holding, and there they go. Now off they go. Let's see, are they going to hesitate? Nope, they're going to go ahead and open the taps. There we go, looking beautiful. Let's see that beautiful blue plume in the back. Looking good. And as the way they go. Now, it looks like they're doing it in SCM. Okay, there goes the boost. You can tell they're boosting because of the amount of plume coming out the back of those engines now. And they are not in nav mode quite yet, but you can see them as they go ahead and take off. They're just kind of boosting their way out of there. Looking good. That was really good. A little bit of hesitation. I would like to see them come out of the hangar a little bit faster, so I'll give them a 9 out of 10. All the elements were there. I just would like to see them exit the hangar a lot faster. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, a small vertical hangar opening up here. We might have somebody taking off or landing. We have somebody indeed taking off, and we have a Cartual, excuse me, not a Cartual, its bigger brother, the Santok Yai. I can't believe I mixed them up. Hey, all you Xeon ships look the same to me, all right? And yeah, so this is, I think, the first time we've seen the actual Santok Yai being shown on the series here. The Santok Yai kind of got a raw deal with the last flight model. It's such a huge ship and not really much else is being offered to it, so it was just a big target that gets blown up pretty easily. With Master Modes, it's still a big target. It happens to be closer. It does have a lot of good maneuverability for a medium fighter, though. You can see them heading on nav mode because they just go at Mach stupid over there. It's really cool. But yeah, so it's a huge target, but it does have a lot more agility attached to it, and it is a little bit beefy too as well. tends to be pretty beefy. So it does have its own place now within master modes. It still is, of course, has the problem of just being a huge target. Oh, and here we have the issues with the PTU. Now, coming in 3.23, we have the new replication layer technology. So you see, I have is server error, please wait. Normally, I would 30K. This means that I would just get disconnected and I have to jump into a new server. Now with new replication layer technology, all I have to do is wait, and then the server will eventually come back as if nothing ever happened. Well, it takes a little bit longer, but other than that, there's a small delay. Anyway, I'll be back as I wait for this server to recover. See you soon. All right, brand new day here. I'm actually at Seraphim Station now in orbit of Crusader, just above the city of Orison. That last server did recover, but it was really slow after that, so I decided to call it a day. So now we're here at Seraphim Station watching players come and go. You can see a player indeed right there in front of you is now taking off and heading out to conduct their business here on the PTU. So without further ado, let's go ahead and cut the cameras here and let's go ahead and see what we get to see. Let's see who comes next. See you soon. Okay, we have a side hangar opening up here, and we have some type of large ship of some descript here. Ooh, we have another Corsair again, a crowd pleaser. No VTOL usage here being utilized, although I do see the gear is still down. Nope, there it goes, it comes up. You can have the wings folded, right, while the gear is up. That is a thing you can do. You just got to remember to switch the actual cycle modes. But either way, looking beautiful there. You can see the wings have extended. It has a wonderful takeoff, though. No VTOL activation there. I will also show you who this pilot is. I normally don't, but I do want to show it because it is a CIG flying it. So unhurted CIG. That is a member of QA, one of the testers for CIG, and they apparently are attacking. Oh, they're attacking one of the floating turrets there. So unhurted just woke up today out of the hangar and chose violence, and now the station is retaliating against them for destroying their little brother. Let's see how long this Corsair lasts. So folks, QA's job is to test all and everything in Star Citizen. They are professional testers. So as much as we're all in the PTU ourselves providing issue council reports, CIG has their own professionals that go in and test the game as well and verify those reports as well too. So Unhurted just woke up and chose violence for whatever reason today, and this is I guess they just wanted to have a crime stat. Maybe they're testing the turrets or testing the crime system. They could be doing any number of things, or maybe they're just being a malicious pirate. Who knows? You can see the Corsair's taking a beating. There we go. There goes the soft death of the Corsair, taking a while for those cannons to really do some damage to it finally. The Corsair is a lot beefier in this patch. It is definitely a monster compared to what it was in the previous ones. At least it feels like it. Definitely feels like it takes forever to take down a Corsair. The Corsair previously always felt very fragile in comparison. But yeah, so Unhurted finally dealt justice. You could also see there was like a bit of a change to the AI. Normally the AI would continue to fire on a soft death target until it's dead, but as you can see, they soft death it and then the turrets stop engaging anymore. So there you go. There's Unhurted's ship. Unhurted is probably still alive, of course, because it's soft death. So they may still be in there, just kind of rooting around, and I don't know what they're trying to do now at this point. But yes, it's just oddities that you see here every so often here on the PTU, folks. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for the excitement. Let's go ahead and cut the cameras here, and let's see what we get next. And of course, you can't have a spaceport without the Rent-A-Cops always coming in to scan you. What's interesting right now currently is they don't actually have any voice lines like they do in live, but they still come and try to scan you. So if you don't, without the voice lines, you won't even know they're trying to scan you unless you look to the top center of your screen there where it says halt your velocity. So sometimes it can be confusing to note that you are even getting scanned, and then all of a sudden you just have a crime stat for not adhering to a... You know what? Can I actually destroy this guy? Yeah! Oh, Star Citizen never changed, please. Okay, so what I did is I basically... So what the AI security does is they try to hold a position off of your canopy so they stay in front of you, so it looks really cool as they try to scan you. And even if you move around, they will try to follow you around to the best of their ability. And you can kind of exploit that by kind of moving your view around so that way they end up smashing into the station like they did there. As you can see, it's a very effective. When the server has a higher frame rate, the AI actually has better collision detection, but currently right now with the server frame rate, it's not so much. And thank you for the armor. Let's go ahead and take your helmet and flight suit. All right. Good day, officer. Thank you so much for your generous donation to the Church of Smooth Takeoff and Landings. We will put that to good use. Also, you can see I'm using the new EVA here, so I got that Superman pose as I'm flying around. It's really cool. Cannot wait for the new traversal coming in a later patch with the new push and pull mechanics. Very fun. All right, let's go ahead and get back in the bird and find the next customer. All right, we have what appears to be a cutter of some description. Not just any cutter from what I can see here. It looks to be a cutter Rambler. A little bit of a rarity out here. You don't see them too often. You can tell it's a Rambler because it's got that kind of turtle shell on its back there. It's got those cluster of engines on the left and right rather than that giant bespoke engine that it normally has. And it also has a different kind of spoiler tail assembly there. But more notably, if you look at the top where the canopy is, you can see those two lights. They almost look like kind of like those little horns you see on certain types of chameleons, right? Those little weird things that are above their eyes or whatever. That's kind of what it reminds me of. And yeah, you can see that they have that assembly there, and you can see them coming. That's the Longhorn paint too, I think, if I recall as well. Gear is coming out a little bit earlier than I'd like, but they're trying to center themselves. Could be that they're in third person. Third person is a little bit more viable in this patch if you're using decoupled landings, which are obscenely trivial now to do decoupled landings. Before, you had to have your gear out to have a good vector hold on your decoupled landing, which meant that you weren't as cinematic in your takeoff and landings. But now vector hold is on all the time when you're decoupled, which makes vector hold landing so much more trivial. And it does mean you can use third person a lot more as a result, as long as you're lined up with your TVI, your vector. And there they go, nice smooth landing. Now, of course, they had early gear activation, no VTOL usage whatsoever. However, I will give them an extra point for maintaining horizontal plane as they were coming in to land. Most people usually nose in on a vertical hangar, which is more than enough viable. It works perfectly fine, and it's actually a lot easier for visibility, especially if you're doing first person. So horizontal landing is a lot harder, although that created a lot more hesitation. Normally this would be like about a general 6 out of 10 because it was relatively controlled. I may even go as low as a 5 out of 10 because there's just so much hesitation, but I'll bump it up to a 6 anyway, simply because they had that horizontal plane. The only issues really, like I said, were hesitation, no VTOL usage, and no gear usage. All right, let's go ahead and move on. And we have Dread Pirate Unherded CIG making their way back out again. And you can see they have a crime stat, of course, because they attacked the turret last time, which was destruction of property. And you can tell the difference, right? You can see that Unherded's old Corsair is red there, and then you can see Unherded is right there red, but also flashing. That is the new system that lets you know that that player has a crime stat. They are essentially free game for you, and they flash, so you're acutely aware that it's a player that has that crime stat. And it looks like Unherded is in some type of Argo ship here, and they're like kissing the turrets. Maybe they're trying to wake them up there. Like I said, the Unherded is QA, so there they go. Now the turrets are firing. Oh, it takes a massive hit to the back there. Still alive, it looks like, as they take a second hit to the back. That has to be soft death at this point. There is no way that can start. Yep, there they go. Immediately space dust on the third hit. Those massive cannons and a little bit of delay before the ship falls apart. And Unherded now gets to enjoy vacation at Klesher for their crimes. Yeah, like I said, Unherded is part of QA, so their job is to test the whole manner of things. And it looks like Unherded was probably testing the actual defense systems at Seraphim Station. Maybe they're testing them under the current load of the server, or they're just kind of seeing how they respond or how long it takes for them to destroy certain ships. I don't know. I am not privy. CIG works in mysterious ways, and of course they're not going to let us know. But it is always funny seeing a SIGI out in the wild doing their job, especially QA. Their job is just to go out and test the whole manner of things, and of course track down and confirm whether issue council reports have validity to them. So if there's a lot of reports of something happening, they of course can review the reports and try to check them out for themselves, and then take the information that they gather from that and report to the relevant departments for bug fixing. All right, folks, let's go ahead and move on to the next customer. We have an Ares Ion here that's been kind of floating around for a bit. I've been following them around. I'm not certain if they're trying to land or if they're trying to find the exterior pads. They seem to be a little bit lost as they've kind of been meandering for quite a bit here. But I've been wanting to follow them just because I kind of want to spend some time talking about the brand new Ares update. So the Ares is an absolute beast. The Ares Ion now has a charge and shoot system to it now. So it's kind of in the role of that sniper category that it was originally pitched as so long ago. Essentially what it is you hit the fire button, it charges, and then it fires a very, very powerful shot. Has a bit of a cooldown in between, and then you can do it again. And before, it was almost like it was like a repeater, like it just fired really fast and it just didn't do a whole lot of damage. But now they brought back having a huge amount of damage, but it needs to charge before it fires, and it's actually really, really cool. And I do enjoy that CIG now has the freedom to really create some of these distinctions amongst different ships and weapon classes, especially bespoke weapon classes, and really create a huge new variety for the playing field now. Whereas in the previous build, everything was just kind of homogenized and not really, it was just basically repeater simulator. That's all it was. And now we have a lot more different types of repeaters, different types of cannons for different types of roles, and there's just so much you can kind of mix and match and try different things with, and it's just really, really fun. And it also includes things like this now with a charge mechanic for the new Ares. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave this guy here. I just kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity to just kind of talk about and gush about the new changes to the weapons coming into this patch that I'm really excited for. Obviously, you all know I'm very excited for Master Modes. I have been for a while, and I will always be a cheerleader for Master Modes because I think it is an absolute step in the right direction for Star Citizen. It is an absolute blast. All right, let's move on. Now we have an SRV coming in with a blue skin on there, and they are moving towards the Ares we saw earlier. Are they looking to tow them? Is this might be maybe this person's friend or something? Maybe they're trying to test out towing. Not entirely certain. I can't quite see, so I'm gonna give me a second here, folks, to try to get a better angle here. There we go. You can see the SRV does have their tow beam onto them. Oh, now the station is firing. So they are illegally towing. So this person is not in their party or anything. They just came in, just saw the Ares sitting there. And now you can see the SRV is actually panicking now as they're getting shot at because they're illegally towing. And that does mean you're free game to anybody at this point because illegal towing, I guess, is punishable by death, according to the station logic here. You can see them as the Ares is just being wildly pulled along as this player panics as they're trying to get away. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on to that Ares for long enough because it looks like that tether is definitely yeah, that tether definitely broke. There it goes. Now we can hear the missiles off into the distance now as the missiles are firing at that SRV as this player scurries away, realizing they got caught doing illegal towing there. That is hilarious. There they go, quantum away. Yeah, so I guess this player was, I don't know what happened. Maybe that player in the Ion shut down their systems so they had no shielding, and then the SRV came in and was like, oh, look, there's something there I could take. And they grab it. Maybe the player was still in the ship, maybe they weren't, I don't know. But I know if you tow someone's ship and they're not in your party or whatever, you get illegal towing. And I guess apparently by the station standards, that is punishable by death. So the station started opening fire. He was lucky to get away, though, so yeah, that is a that is an insane thing. Just the weird things you see in the PTU here, folks. And we have the SRV coming back now. It looks like they're trying to see if the station will forgive them, and it will not. You can see those red flashes off in the distance there. And I believe it has been soft. Yeah, there it goes. It has been soft death now. So the SRV just got absolutely blasted. There's some desync with the projectiles. You can see it constantly getting hit there, but the projectiles are very highly desynced right now. And there it goes. It is now spaced. So that player probably is also going to be enjoying a trip to Klesher. I think they were trying to see if the hostility wears off over time. It does give you a crime stat for doing that, and it does make you free game. It is weird, though, that it is punishable by death. I mean, it is just illegal towing, but I guess, you know. It is interesting, though, because you saw how Unhurted was soft death, but not actually destroyed. And then you can see this player came in with their SRV was soft death, and they were destroyed. Some weird inconsistencies there, and I'm wondering if that's what Unhurted was actually testing, maybe. The other thing they could be testing maybe is this, what you're seeing here. I'm hearing the station just going absolutely berserk now, which is the thing that happens in live as well, too. Sometimes when players have crime stats in the area, for some reason, the station just goes berserk, even when there's no players with crime stats. So they're firing missiles, you can hear the cannons firing, but they're not firing at anything specific. They're just firing randomly for no reason. Yeah, it's very odd. Don't know what's causing that. All right, small vertical hangar opening up here, and we have an Avenger Titan on deck lined up. Looks like their gear probably is going to already be up. We'll see if my guess is correct here. Give it a little bit. Let them go ahead and exit the hangar. You can hear the station going absolutely berserk still at this point. And yeah, gear is already up and a solid takeoff with no hesitation whatsoever. That is a solid 10 out of 10 takeoff right there, folks. That's exactly what we're looking for. Takeoffs are always going to be easier so long as you follow the simple steps that I laid out before prior. All right, let's see what else we get. All right, things slowed down a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and maybe switch ships and switch to a different station here, but I'm using decoupled landing. You can see how easy it is for me to just kind of glide into position, pull my gear down before I land, and I'm just using some space brake tapping to slow myself down so I can have a nice cushiony landing. You can see how simple and easy it is to pull off. Yeah, so now you can have vector holding in decoupled landings now, without having to have your gear down the entire time, which is so nice. It's something that everybody's been asking for a long time, including myself, that we could have vector holding without needing to have the gear down, but now it's available. So that is awesome. So glad CIG put the... Oh, I just realized my ponytail is sticking out of my helmet. This has always been a tradition for me to play female characters in the PTU ever since they added the female characters, and this is why, because they tend to be more buggy. All right, I'm at Loreville here, and I want to show off, again, the decoupled vector hold landing. I have my TVI locked in where I want it to go, so at this point, I can just go in third person, and then I could just rotate and get more horizontal with the hanger here. And all I really need to do to modulate my speed is just use my space brake. What's really nice about the new decoupled hold, and just decoupled in general, is there's now gravity compensation built in. Of course, you can turn that off if you want to. I absolutely love it being on because I hate having to constantly have inputs to keep my vector held in a straight line while I'm flying. I don't like that, so I do like the gravity compensation personally. But yeah, you can see how really cool it is, and that's just so buttery smooth. All right, let's go ahead and get things started here at Everus. Yeah, folks, if you do want to improve your takeoff and landings, of course, I will eventually have some guides here on the channel showing you some tips and tricks to improve your overall landings and make them a little bit more cinematic, especially within 3.23, as there is quite a few things changing in 3.23. Anyway, let's go ahead and wait for our next customer. We have what appears to be a Vanu Sovereignty 600i coming in for landing here, as they have that IAE paint as they come in, looking like they have their gear up, which is always nice. Usually people end up pulling their gear down way too early at this point, so I do like to see that. Now the 600i does not have VTOLs, so nothing to worry about there. As they come in, looks like they're lining themselves up. A little bit of kind of up and down action as they're trying to kind of get themselves squared away here. Now they're above the pad. Looks like they're trying to line themselves up here. Oh, don't forget the gear. Don't land a little bit too early. All right, now you just need to pull the gear down and rotate. It looks like they might be trying to hunt for that keybind. There they go. Now they have the gear down. Now the front's going to catch it. There it goes. It bumps up a little bit as the front ends up catching and brings it down nice and soft. So there's a little bit of hesitation there and a little bit of a late gear deployment, which is something you don't always see often on this series here. It's almost always an early gear deployment, but this time we have a late gear deployment and a little bit of hesitation as a result. Probably they were trying to find their keybind or they're trying to find it in the cockpit. Not entirely certain. Either way, I will take some points off from it. That's overall going to be a solid 6. Pretty good. Could be a little bit better, right? We could definitely, that could be a 7 if they were not hesitating as much, but definitely going to be a 6. What do we got here? We have more security. Annoying me, sir. Can you not see I am recording people taking off and landing? I'm going to give you the same treatment as I did that other officer. And dead. Interesting, this guy actually detonated. Interesting. And another successful donation to the Church of Smooth Landings. Thank you, good sir. I do appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, this person just kind of, their ship just detonated, this security. It seems like they added some kind of new calculation to the logic. Also, look at this blue light on the Fury. You notice that? I noticed this recently, that the Fury has these really annoying blue lights on them now. And I'm wondering if that's like kind of like a balancing thing because of how small it is. They just decided to add these really obtrusive lights, despite the fact that I don't have the lights on. As like a way of making it easier for you to see them, I guess. I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, like I said, so the security exploded, and I think they added some new updated to the physics or something like that, because there tends to be a lot more soft deathing when you crash into stuff. Obviously, if you crash at like insanely stupid speeds, you'll still explode, but if you crash at a slower speed, generally, it seems like you kind of soft death a lot more. And now I don't know if that's because of the changes to master modes or if that's actually a recalculation to the physics, but overall it's interesting to see more soft deathing rather than just full explosion. Yeah, you can see when I turn my power off, those lights disappear. I still got those little red lights there, but when I turn them on, I have a light on. I don't actually have my headlights on. This is just the default lights that are on the Fury when you have the ship powered on. It's kind of a weird thing. Does make my ship a little bit less stealthy. I think this is also on live as well too. I'm not entirely certain, but either way, I just noticed it now. And it's a little bit weird. Anyway. Well, what have we here?
No, he's here. Just land on the pad. He can't rate your landing if you land on the pad.
He's trying to blind me. It's not going to work. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mother Truckin' Mexican, my fellow org mate in the Forgotten Heralds as he tries to land. I just snuck into his hangar right now to see how he was going to land, and you can see he had a pretty nice landing there. Almost a little bit late on the gear, because like the gear came out and the animation didn't quite finish before he touched down, so there was a little bit of sparking there, but mostly what I'm going to take a point away is from being a little bit skewed. You can see he's on the right side of the actual hangar pad there, so it's going to be a 9 out of 10. Sir, how would you rate your experience landing at Bajini Point with master modes?
3 out of 10.
What?
I died the first time, so...
Oh, true. Yeah, you had that server spike. Well, this is your problem, not mine, so...
Senor?
Oh.
Senor. Eso no es...
The Sanchez! He's got the Sanchez!
Goddamn right.
All right, folks, I think this is going to be a good place to leave things off. I'm going to go ahead and continue recording, but for now, we are going to cut today's episode off here. If you did indeed enjoy today's video, please leave a like, as it really, really does help out the channel. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this and much more down the line, be sure to subscribe as well. And if you do quite enjoy the work that I do here and you want to support a little bit more, you could become a channel member and get an exclusive shout out in the video as well. So if you want to kind of go above and beyond and show the support and your love for smooth takeoff and landings as much as I do, be sure to check out that join button down below. All right, folks, until next time, fly safe, because you never know who might be watching, and I'll see you all in the black.